Neither Marty or I grew up on a farm. This is something that we started, and so our background is different than a lot of farm families. We've been on the other side, so to speak, and have not depended on the farm completely. One of us has always had a job outside the farm. Marty has the hunting preserve and I have another job. And that gives us a different perspective than totally relying on the farm.
It's very difficult to stop working, so you continue to do something. And I, back a number of years ago, started the hunting preserve on the farm. And it's had its ups and downs, but it's a good business. And the boys now, we were discussing that over a period of years of how we can transfer that aspect over. It's a good diversification. So that's how I planned it. Linda has her own business, and I'm sure she'll work. We'll be wheeling her in, so she can go to work every morning because she enjoys it. So that's important.
So what do you see as the next step in the transitioning of ownership and growth of your business? What would be the next step?
Well,
I mean, we can all say it because we all know what's happening.
The real estate part would be the next.
Yeah, the real
how
estate.
to do that without losing equity but put it in something that's safe enough so that, mom and dad, which I think is what we're working towards, they still have their ownership of a particular piece of property or something that they can fall back. If everything goes to hell in a handbasket, they still have something that they could sell if they needed to, or that's not tied into the big family property.
And how about your future? What did you have in mind for that?
Well, I thought I'd like to do a little traveling, but Dad, he's kind of a farm guy, and he doesn't like to leave the farm. And this gave him a chance to still work on the farm.
Run without me.
And he still wanted to run, be here on the farm. So this gave Keith somebody to help him and gave Dad something to do because he wouldn't have been happy to retire. That wasn't in his future.
And then you were probably concerned about just the sustainability of what you had started.
Yeah.
To see that continue.
Yeah, to grow and be here because it's a great place here.
How are you surviving through that? Is it for Social Security, or what were you thinking in these goals, and when you wanted to still stay here? How were you going to accomplish that?
Well, I'm still driving bus, and Dad and I both get Social Security now, and Keith is taking care of our needs. He pays the taxes, which were big for us, and the insurance. But Keith, takes care of the minor things that we need. If we want to go to the store, the hardware store, the grain store, we put it on his account. But there was no money transacted
On the property.
on the property.
Okay. And in doing that achieved your goals. I mean,
Yes.
you wanted a way for him to get in,
Yeah.
but not bury him so much
I
financially.
didn't want to bury him.
Right.
I did not want him to have a debt that he could not ever pay back. But in a way, he's still paying us because we do use his account at the store or whatever. For us, that is a good thing because we are going to. This farm is going to move on. It's going to stay here. I decided to kind of push my husband into thinking about letting go and giving Keith the reins because I trusted my son. I had faith in him. I knew he wanted to do this. And so I kind of pushed Dad into thinking about it. And also, while we were going to live here, he could still do chores, still be involved, but yet give Keith the reins.
So one piece of advice is just be willing to let go. Is
Yes,
that right?
and to have faith, I think, in your children. You know your children. I guess my advice would be to have faith in them. If you know them, you know what they will do. And I had complete faith in my son.
Now, since just one child is involved in farming, what have you decided to do in estate planning in regard to the rest of your family?
We have more property around, and my son Brent has built a home on some property we gave him, which is what he wanted. He wanted to build his home there. The girls, we still own property, and we still have things that we want to give them. Material, things in the house here, heirlooms and things like that I know Keith is not interested in. And still some money that will go to them. But he will end up having this house. And another thing, for people, we bought a little home as an investment many years ago, right next door. And so we keep our name on that.
What's your advice for folks as far as, surviving once you do give up the farm? You said you've got Social Security. What would you say? What's life after farming?
For us, it's great. I mean, we're doing what we want to do.
Yep.
Sometimes
a little hard, but
but
you have that and you get a wage too sometimes. So
but we have family around, and if they help out, and I don't mean financially, but just help out. I was not worried at all because I have family, and our family is close.
How did you deal with letting go? How has that been for you?
Well, that's a good question. Well, I mean, that's an interesting question because Sandy and I were talking about that. It is when everything quiets down and you start to think. It is difficult to spend your whole life building something and whatever fortune you acquire, and then trying very hard to let it all go. It would be extremely difficult if I didn't trust the people that I was passing it on to.
How have you folks dealt with the older generation being economically sufficient as they take over the ownership of the next generation?
Well, we have, through the years, put money away in IRAs. Sandy and I both, since that started, since the IRA, and we would have been in great shape if the IRAs were worth what they would have been. But to make a long story short, we still have some of that income, and we plan on staying in this house, and the rent will be taken care of, with the taxes, and our expenses will be minimal.
So we've talked about a lot of decisions that occurred. You've got a business, we've got a family, they're all kind of intermingled here on a farm. But as you made this decision to separate off the business and Keith was taking over, how did you handle the personal side of you still keeping some of the identity that you have here at the farm?
I guess still being a part of it, I think, to just stay here and still be a part of this and see it grow and mature, and I guess just being a part of it. When we decided to do this, I knew it would be hard for my husband to let go, as it is with a lot of men, and some women too. But when I decided to do this, and we had the fire, I decided to kind of push my husband into thinking about letting go and giving Keith the reins, because I trusted my son. I had faith in him. I knew he wanted to do this. And so I kind of pushed Dad into thinking about it. And also, while we were going to live here, he could still do chores, still be involved, but yet give Keith the reins of this and have Keith build the farm that he wanted to build. But we were still going to be a part of it because we were going to live here.
So one piece of advice is just be willing to let go.
Yes, and to have faith, I think, in your children. You know your children. I guess my advice would be to have faith in them. If you know them, you know what they will do. And I had complete faith in my son.
And what would be your advice to other folks to keep it going? How do you keep it going?
I think that you have to, one thing that's not tangible, but it's the lifestyle. If you are on a farm and you watch the children and you watch their interaction with animals and with nature, and just being brought up on a farm is just a wonderful experience. And if nothing else, that would be to perpetuate that.